Said I wasn't going to work today, but I had to share some of this with you guys. Look at this. Gorgeous views here from Chernivra, just at the, I don't know, is it the complete top of the mountain, but it's one of the peaks on Vitusha mountain, which is just outside Sofia in Bulgaria, where I live. Man, I love this country so much. And whenever I say that, coming from a Western country, people here get really surprised. They always ask, like, why? Why do you love it? And it's just such a perfect mix for me of quiet place to live, relatively speaking, when you think of a capital city, not overpopulated, and then you've got all this beautiful nature surrounding. You've got the seaside at the other end of the country on the east, and then over here you've got some nice mountains. So yeah, I'm really happy here. Hope this mic is picking me up. I didn't attach it quite correctly. That's better. So yeah, I'm just getting my morning walk in. I decided to come up here on a little bit of a whim during my rest day, and it didn't turn into much of a rest day because I spent the last hour walking a steady incline after I got off the bus near the bottom of the mountain and now up to the peak. But what a great way to spend a Sunday. I'm finding that lately, since I've been working more diligently on my business and the more and more confident I get in it, the less I've been, look at this little fucker on my ear, a little mosquito. Don't know if the mic picked up his little, but yeah, the more I've been working on my business, I've been, to get the results, to get the sales, to actually find the path that works for me, I've had to cut out most sources of artificial stimulation. So even though I'm going to upload this to YouTube, I don't really consume much YouTube anymore. Now, sometimes I forget and I do watch the odd video, but I used to be constantly walking around the place with my headphones on, listening to music, listening to video after video after video, doom scrolling on Instagram. I don't do any of that anymore. What I've got with me, actually in my bag over there, I've got a book. So I have my little man bag that I bring everywhere, and that's usually got some sunscreen. The microphones that I'm shooting this on, so the DJI pocket mics, the DJI Go, which are absolutely essential for me. Little magnetic tripod goes in there. And a book. The book I'm reading at the moment is The Winner Effect by Ian Robertson. So the actual reason I'm reading that book, I'm going to share with you in another video. I don't want to do it here because I want to properly plan out that video because it's a very personal topic, but I think my experiences could help a very concentrated niche of person. But I will talk about one aspect of why I bought the book here and kind of why I'm spending the day like this and why I'm cutting out a lot of external stimulation is I'm trying to get better at handling winning. So this week I closed 5 sales calls out of the 5 that I had. So that was a 100% close rate over 5 calls. Now a lot of those are returning customers, but still I am extremely happy with that, because what that tells me is that whatever I'm doing is working in terms of getting more grounded, getting out of my head, getting more present to the moment, which is something that I'm really trying to cultivate more of as I'm building this business. And I find that the more and more I'm doing it and the more I get into being and doing rather than consuming, the better my life has become, the more depth there is. I'm less scattered across multiple things, but I'm finding more depth in everything that I do, including replacing my doom scrolling and endless, listening to YouTube videos with doing things like rehearsing my sales script out loud, like I am an actor, These little things, just doing them over and over again to the point where I won't need the script. I'm nearly at that point. But yeah, that's kind of the life I'm opting for. I keep telling myself it's a break, right? I'm just taking a break from things like, in the past it was nicotine, alcohol. I haven't touched alcohol in a few months now, probably going to go to the end of the year with it. My TV is plugged out don't watch Netflix anymore. What else? But yeah, all the social media stuff I keep to the bare minimum that I need to do to show up, to promote my business. Now, getting back to the topic of handling wins, there was a huge rush of excitement when I closed that 5th sale this week, and I felt a little bit overstimulated. My mind was looping, like I was just, and I wanted to keep going. I had this urge to want to message more people, to try and get more calls set up, to not take a day off this weekend. And I've just realized, through experience and through, making mistakes in the past, blowing money, getting overexcited, getting caught up in the emotion and the adrenaline, the dopamine rush, all of that when it comes to winning, is that it just takes you longer to get back to a state of winning again if you get overexcited, because with every big high, every big peak, there is unfortunately a crash on the other side. So what was really important for me of getting that excess energy out of my system was the next day after I closed that sale, all I did was just onboarding my new clients. I did my accounts, like boring stuff. Did it without any external stimulation, no music on in the background, nothing like that, just fully present with the task. I got in a few workouts this weekend. I did this hike this morning. And now I feel completely balanced and just like recalibrated and back to just like a stable baseline, ready to attack another week again tomorrow. That is extremely important. So like this was actually a trick I picked up from my most recent relationship. I was going out with a ballet dancer. She was trained as a ballet dancer, but she's a stage performer in a musical theatre. Really, really disciplined person, but also really like spontaneous and full of energy and just full of life. Just an overall amazing human being. And one of the things I learned from her was that ability to handle wins, that ability to kind of get out that excess energy. So after she does some kind of a performance, or even after she handed in her final thesis for her degree and, it had kind of culminated in this big win, she'll just go off on her own to the ballet studio to just move, to get out the energy, to get back into the present moment. And I think that's something that can help many of you, because if you're watching my channel, you're striving to be successful whilst also getting on top of your fitness habits, getting on top of your health, your lifestyle, and really trying to find alignment in every area of what you do. Handling wins, it's so important. I mean, I had this similar conversation with one of my clients, Živko, who I've spoken about quite a bit. He's the lead actor for that film about Michael Schumacher, that I'm also featured in as a news reporter. And the commentator, actually my voice is running through their trailer, which has got a few million views now, so doing a British accent, which is what an experience. But anyway, I was speaking with him about how a lot of actors or a lot of people in his field make this mistake of they kind of surround themselves with people who all live in the clouds. They have their heads stuck in the clouds. So as they become more successful, different parts of their brain essentially just switch off, and they all get caught up in the hype and in the future, and it's all this abstract kind of like future thinking that's not rooted in reality. And we both mentioned, that need to just keep grounded people in our lives, because if you're doing anything creative, you're always walking that tightrope. I call it the dopamine tightrope, which is like, you crave success in the first place because you probably have a tough time stimulating as much baseline dopamine as most people do. But then you're also extra sensitive to like the rewards that come with it, with the like limbic system types of dopamine. It's this whole gap between phasic and tonic dopamine, dopamine getting into the forebrain, which can help with tasks, can help with attention, memory. And then you've got the limbic system, where when the dopamine hits there, it's sex feels better, you feel more confident, you kind of ignore social conventions, you're more dominant. It's always trying to toe that line, to try and find that balance between both those systems, and it is a little bit like walking a tightrope. So it is important to have things in your life that ground you. Now, grounding is a kind of nebulous term, and sometimes when I hear these woo-woo wishy-washy terms, I like to break them down a little bit. What do I mean by grounding? I just mean getting into whatever that part of the brain is that's just to do with being, to do with consciousness, to do with just existing without your mind constantly going like a hamster on a wheel. I know it sounds like my mind is working on overdrive right now, but it's actually not. I've got one eye on the views around me while I'm also just spitting stuff here. It's coming out actually ridiculously easier than it does when I'm at home with bullet points listed out, as if, you know, I've prepared a lot for a video. This was literally just impromptu. I just took out the mics, felt a little bit inspired up here, and this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's actually a better ability to perform while also feeling still, feeling calm, feeling completely present in what you're doing. That's what you're looking for. That's the proper equilibrium to try and go for when it comes to walking that dopamine tightrope. And that will allow you to keep winning more and more and more. And that is my plan, probably for the rest of my life, to be honest, because I really like the process of creating. I don't really feel a need to go back to a life of, what would you call it, hedonism. I'm not a big fan of that word either, because it kind of implies, you know, that you have to cut out all pleasures in life and become an ascetic or like a stoic or things like that, or some kind of a monk. What I just mean is unconscious consumption, right? Let me put it that way. I probably don't even have the term hedonism properly defined in my mind or worked out in that way. It's just that's how I usually hear the word being thrown around. But what I really mean is just unconscious consumption. That's what I'm looking to get away from, and I don't miss it. I even went out to some nightclubs this past week on Friday because I was really craving it. I hadn't done it in a long time, especially being newly single. As of, well, a few months ago. It was my first time going back out to a club, Dobro Utro. And I just decided, fuck it, I'll give it a go. I realised I didn't miss it at all. I didn't miss being stimulated at night time when I meant to be going to sleep. I didn't miss being surrounded by people smoking and, you know, having a raspy voice the next day. I didn't miss feeling wiped out in the morning and missing sunrise. So yeah, I think if you can live a life where you're calmly moving forward towards your goals and also present to what you're doing at all times, you can essentially have a productive party your entire life, you know, of every waking moment. And that's what I'm striving for. Not the big massive peaks and troughs that I used to go through and ultimately kept me trapped in a place I didn't want to be, but I didn't even know that there was another option. Anyway, have yourself a great weekend. Once I have that book finished, I'll have more insights. I'm enjoying it, kind of. It took me a while to get into it because the author, man, is he does this thing, which I guess a lot of social scientists do, where they start out with a hypothesis at the beginning of a chapter or some kind of dynamic, then throw in a load of different anecdotes, and then at the end of the chapter say, as we've now proven, and he hasn't proven anything. He's just given a hypothesis about how something works, and he seems to be overly confident in which is cause and which is effect, which to my mind doesn't seem to be proven at all in that book, but it is an interesting read, and it will have personal impact for me. So I do recommend it from that standpoint, but that's a bit of a comment on mine. I think he's overly confident, as many social scientists are, as to which is the cause and which is the effect, with very little evidence to show for it. Anyway, check it out. It's called The Winner Effect by Ian Robertson. Have yourselves a great week ahead, and catch you soon.